Hey guys, so I thought I would share a little bit about my previous relationship with my husband before we dated. And why is this important? Okay, because I personally feel that the reason my husband and I have been successful in our marriage and our family and just our life is because of how we established our relationship early on. Okay, so let's get into it. So the first time I met my husband, and I'm talking softly because everything I do on here, I don't even tell my husband what I'm saying really. But he does know I have a channel and he's a-okay with it, and he knows I share stuff, but like I keep our identities private, so obviously like in respect for him and our kids and me. So yeah, so okay, so I technically met my husband when I was 12. No, we were not dating then. That I'm not like, no, it didn't happen. But I met him at a family party. I was really my best friend at the time was like a girl that I went to grade school with, and I actually still know her. And I met him at her family party because they're cousins, and it was so cute because so I was there with my best friend and then my other best friend. We were like kind of like this good like little trio in junior high. And so the other girl who was not related to him was like, "Oh my goodness, I love the younger brother. He's so cute." And I was like thinking, "Oh my goodness, like these guys are like 3 to 4 years older than us. Like, let's get a clue here." But I'm not going to bash everyone's excitement and, anticipation. But I did say to my friend, I'm like, "Oh, come on. Like, the older guy's way cuter." I like was joshing with her, but I was really serious. Like, I did think that. And flash forward to 3 years later, I was 15, and that is like right around the time AOL Instant Messenger got really hot. It was like definitely on the top of things. And you had to like know people's screen names in order to contact them. And somehow my husband figured out my screen name. Well, he was not my husband at the time, obviously, but he sought me out and just messaged me and started talking with me. And here's the thing, like I look back at this and I think, gosh, I hope my daughter, because I have 3 boys and 1 girl, I hope my daughter is smart enough to really just have enough confidence, because I don't know how things are this day and age, but back then I kind of was a very different girl. I was not like the typical girl in my opinion. I wasn't a cool kid. I wasn't superficial. I wasn't like running with, wolves. I was generally I was kind of wild, but I wasn't like immoral, if I can say that. Now, my parents never took me to church. They wanted me to decide for myself the life that I wanted to live, which, is just okay. I get it. They were hippies from like the 70s, right? So I get it a little bit. But nonetheless, I wound up actually going to church with my best friend, and I found church and Jesus and God by myself, without my parents, which, I really truly I always prayed as a kid. I always, believed in God, and I prayed, and I loved God, and I could feel the presence, I just knew it was something, outside of what we understood. And I went to youth group. And so anyways, the reason I'm telling you this is because so he reached out to me on AOL and just asked if I wanted to hang out, and I said, "Hey, I go to youth group on Wednesday nights, like if you want to meet up sometime, we could totally do that." Now, obviously it's junior high, or I'm sorry, wait, no, it was freshman year of high school. But like when you're dating people, if you're like a total vanilla person or like a person that, you know, obviously isn't like putting themselves out there sexually, like you're just kind of dating, and dating is just like a label. It's not even really what you're doing. So I was like dating boys, but like we would just see each other, hold hands in the hall, write each other notes, you know. It was nothing ever like physical, like a few kisses here and there. It was never anything bigger than that. And I pray to God that my daughter is like that. I pray, God, and my sons too, honestly, like, so, but it is such a good way to be because it keeps, and I am not saying like morally, like hierarchy, like that I'm better at anything, but I'm gonna just tell you, like, being and living like that made life so much easier. Like, I did not share my heart, my body, my mind with anyone before my husband. And it has made things, I can't even imagine if I did, like how difficult it would have been. So, and that's the norm. And there's nothing like I'm shaming about that per se, but the reality is that just complicates things. It just does. Like the more you do, right, the more it complicates things. So anyways, I invited my husband to church. I said, yeah, hey, you can hang out with us. You know, we're going to be going to church and youth group on Wednesday nights, and come with us if you want. We go to Denny's. I don't know if you guys did that back, like all the states. I don't know if that was like the thing back then, but for us, it was like a big deal to go out to eat afterwards and hang out at the hangout, which was Denny's. I just think about that because it's like, wow. Anyways, so, and I just remember for some reason my friend couldn't drive me home. And so Dan, my husband, offered to drive me home, who was my friend, right? So who I invited. And I'll never forget it because, like, my husband, if you know, I don't think I've ever mentioned it on the channel, but he actually had never dated anybody. And he was like 17, gonna be 18. And like, I mean, the best basketball player, just super tall and like, but for me, like I look back at that and that's what I label it as. But at the time, I didn't even look at him like that. I didn't even think about him like, ooh, he's so cute. I didn't think about him at all like that. Like, I thought about him literally as a friend. And I laugh about this because I think, wow, like all these other guys that I had been like hanging out with and going on and dating, or we used to call it seeing, right? And the reality is like there was no depth to that stuff at all. And then like when I met Dan, like I was actually scared of dating him. I mentally made a block in my mind that I did not want to date him. He was the only guy I'd ever thought that way about. It was almost like subconsciously I had known that there was a future with him, and I was scared of my own future. And I know this sounds a little bit new age, kind of weird, but that is literally like the only way I can explain it, because I never had a situation where I would just be like, no, I don't think so. I was always a yes person. And obviously I didn't do things past a certain point. Like I kept my distance, but I would always be up for fun and like, yes, let's go out, let's go hang, let's go, you know, meet up with some people. And I just was an adventurer. But the craziest thing is I was so scared to date him. And it took a whole year. Like, he had kind of mentioned here and there that he liked me. And I was like creeped out. I really was. And I look back at that and I think, why? What was that? It was like some sort of subconscious like thing that was going on. So, hey, if you are chasing someone, don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. That is like one moral of the story. The other moral is I think we all know what's best for us. And sometimes it's scary. Sometimes it's scary when you know the end result and like what it's going to be. So, anyways, so that night that I had first hung out with him, I remember it was so cute. Like, we get into his car, and it's this vintage like SS Monte Carlo 87 like silver. I'm not even like a car person, like whatever. And I actually didn't even like the car. I remember thinking that like, oh, what is this weird thing? Like, because I just wasn't like into cars and I didn't know. But to him, now that I know more about him and, you know, can reference it, but like he was very all about, like he saved up money to buy this car and it was like his favorite car, which is so cute. And so I kind of got to wrap this up here because I just heard my husband shut off the shower, but because he works out and then he showers, right? So it was so cute. I just remember driving home and him driving me home, and I remember him asking me in the car, like, what kind of music do you like? I'll turn on whatever music you like. And now this is a guy that never dated anyone ever, and he's like going to be 18. So he's basically survived his entire 4 years of high school without dating anyone. And so I see him go to change the stations and he's shaking. He's shaking. He was so nervous. And I look back at that and I think, oh, it's so sweet, you know? And we continued to be friends for like a year, and we would do everything. We would go to the mall, we would go to church all the time, like twice a week. And I mean, man, if that was like a typical guy, like I just think of like, holy cow, he really was, that was very nice of him. I mean, he was obviously Christian as well, and really was interested in bettering himself, you know, so he was open to that. So I guess the moral of the story that I'm trying to explain is that the juice is worth a squeeze when you wait, when you are patient, when you get to know the person without them taking their clothes off. And like and that's a true testament of men and women, because if you really, you could look this up, I think Jordan Peterson did a good couple videos on this, but like, I mean, I love Jordan Peterson, so hopefully like some of my fans like him. I love him a lot. But he kind of goes into like kind of vetting basically like your significant other, like soon to be, like who you want to have in your life for the rest of your life, who you want to share your life with. There's a lot of weird subconscious and conscious vetting that goes on in the dating process. And a lot of men, you know, they don't want to obviously have a girl that just like jumps into bed with them, right? And takes their clothes off immediately, like first date, second date, third date even. Like for example, like my husband and I waited until we got married, and that is like unheard of almost these days. And you know, it was 6 years before we got married, and that took a lot of, and I can do a whole other video on that. But now, you know, flash forward to being married like 18 years and 4 kids, and we are harnessing the things that you should harness as a married couple. The Carezza is definitely one, and obviously, you know, the foundational stuff is very important as far as, you know, sharing the same values, huge. Sharing similar goals, huge. Looking out for one another and making time for one another. And if you do have kids, it's also making sure you find that time that's completely separate from the kids. But anyways, I hope this video helps you. I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe it's some sort of wonderful thing that it's blessing upon your lives, and maybe it's not something relevant to you, but maybe it will be relevant to you in the future. All right, happy Saturday, guys. Have a great weekend. Lots of caressa. Bye.